Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey, welcome back. Let me ask you a question. Are you a landlord who's in the buy and hold side of things? Like you've got a portfolio that you're focusing on for the next 5, 10, 20 plus years? Well, if so, pay close attention to our guest zooming in from beautiful Colorado, Chris Lopez, very experienced real estate entrepreneur. He's been a broker. He's been a landlord. He's been a limited partner. He's been a capital raiser. He's a software guy. He's got a lot going in real estate. Plus, he's a fellow podcast host with the Passive Pockets, I believe, podcast, part of the Bigger Pockets brand. So, Chris, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you, Dave. It's an honor to be here, and that was a great intro. So, thank you so much.
My pleasure. So, Chris, give us a little snapshot. I kind of teased the whole idea here, but we were talking off camera here about the biggest value you can bring to my audience, which is taking a cold, hard look at their portfolio, their return, the real return on equity, and maybe some ideas on how to optimize that. So let's, first of all, before we jump into that, maybe just tell me a little bit about your personal experience coming to that epiphany yourself in your own real estate investing.
Yeah, that context would be perfect. So I graduated from Virginia Tech with a financial planning degree. Like I could sit for the Certified Financial Planner exam, the CFP exam. I never pursued that career. And this was like 2005 when I graduated, because I was like, well, I'm going to invest in the S&P 500 index fund. That's not a fun living for me to make, being a financial planner selling, not a fun product like
selling
that.
Mutual funds to people. Yeah.
And I was like, you can't beat the market. And I wanted the longer term, I wanted to get into real estate. Right. Yeah. And I had a big belief that, hey, if I focus on real estate for 20 to 30 years, just consistent, taking moderate risk, but just staying active and plugged in, I could have a portfolio that'd be like 3 to 5x what a stock portfolio could. And so it was like, okay, how can I buy and hold? But what moves do I make in the interim? And of course, when I started out as a buy, hold, pay off, never sell was the mindset.
Right. With what kind of property? Single family homes, multifamily?
Yeah, like single family up to like fourplexes. So
in and around Denver?
Yep.
Yeah.
All in the Denver metro area. I would only buy something if I can drive to it and had local competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I'll buy this and hold it forever. And then I started doing the math. I was like, wow, the cash flow, like, cool. It's like a couple $100 a month when it's paid off. Like it just, the cash flow is just not that meaningful. I'm going to need like 19 paid off properties to have like a basic income replacement. And then, so this was where my financial planning mind was trying to like crack the nut. And then I was always asking people, and I met just one of the great mentors in my real estate career. And he sat down and said, let me show you how to optimize the equity in your property. And he talked about return on equity. Because, for example, like the first property I put zero down. So I am making an infinite return on the property. I was zero down to like $70,000 from a Fannie foreclosure in 2011. So just great deal. And then fast forward, I don't know, 5-6 years, I have almost $250,000 of equity in there. It's cash flowing $100, $200 a month. Now I have an infinite return on paper, but for that almost $250,000 in there, I'm making like $2,000 a year in cash flow. So a 1% kind of like cash flow on equity. So that was a conundrum I had, and so many investors have out there. And you can't look at how much I put into it, but how much equity is currently in the property, and then what's the opportunity.
So not so much a cash on cash return, a cash on equity return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like, and I will argue with people all the time. People say, hey, I'm making $10,000 a year in cash flow, and I put $10,000 down this property. We're using today's dollars than yesterday's expenses. Like, that's not good math. So my argument is use like today's income and today's equity, which is your down payment, your principal pay down, a market appreciation, it's all that stuff that builds in equity over the time. Yeah. And for many landlords in a lot of markets, the Denvers, the Austins, the coastal markets, we've had such high appreciation that a lot of times we will see about a 1 to 4% cash flow return equity, meaning, hey, for every $100,000 in that property, you're making $1,000 to $4,000 a year in cash flow. And it's for people who want cash flow, it is not an optimized vehicle for cash flow.
All right. Well, that's depressing as hell, Chris.
No, it's a good problem to have.
Let's dump cold water on everybody's head. Say, hey, you think you're doing so well, you're really doing kind of shitty. So let's.
How'd that sound I came across?
No, it did.
Let me put it this way: it is a rich person's problem. It is a rich person's first world problem. So it's a fun game to play. Hey, a lot of these people are sitting on $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million of equity, and then they're at this phase in their life. They're like, hey, I busted my butt. What I used to do no longer works in the current market cycle. My kids are graduating college. My wife and I want to kind of like early retire. And they're like, I got all this equity, but I want to kind of go hands off. How do I maximize that cash flow?
Right, because the cash flow is not cutting it, right? The paper value, that equity that you've got isn't putting any jingle in your jeans every month. So what do you show people? What do you show people how to do to optimize things? What are your recommendations these days?
So I recommend people go through this 3-step framework: keep, refi, or sell. It's an annual thing you do with your property, or anytime you are going to sign a new lease, right? So it's a good hey, how's this property doing? Should I keep it? Should I do a cash out refinance, take money and go reinvest? Or should I sell and 1031, or just sell and invest, pay some tax and invest elsewhere? So I think it's really good if people go through spectrum on there and first understand how's it performing. Understand today's numbers like we talked about. And then say, okay, if I keep it, am I happy with the numbers? And is there any ways I can optimize it? And that might be hey, I want to go hands off. Hey, hire a property manager, right? Now that's going to reduce cash flow, but you'll be hands off, less headache. And that might be a win for you. You could say, wow, I'm $500 below market rent, which is the most common mistake we see in the software is people have sub-market rents by 10% plus, significant. So just go in there and bump the rent some, right? Or go in there and potentially look at changing strategies for you to maximize cash flow, go do a room by room or a medium-term rental property. Most people don't do that, but look at, hey, if I keep it, how can I make the property meet what I want? Right. And hopefully it does, right? If it doesn't, hey, look at other opportunities. And then the next step is, hey, can I do a cash out refinance, right? Maybe this is a trophy asset, right? Stuff I own was all Class C, Class B properties. It was nothing special, just middle of the road stuff. But hey, somebody I got this amazing property in this amazing school district, next to this just, amazing area. Hey, that's a trophy asset, right? Hey, it might make sense to pull money out of there. I've had many clients and friends, it's almost paid off, $750,000 house, single family home in Denver. And they'll do a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 cash out refi on there for a little debt. The rents can still cover it. So it'll be a 40% LTV, and then go reinvest the cash in something else, buy another property, or, invest in stocks or whatever they do with the money. Hey, go invest it to make the equity work harder.
Right.
And the third one is, should I sell? And, 10 years ago, the name of the game was, sell in 1031, right? Sell the house and buy a fourplex. At least that's what we did, here in Denver and for a lot of my American friends. But it's hey, can I sell and do a 1031? Or this will shock some people, but it's also okay to pay taxes sometimes. Sell a property, pay some taxes, and reinvest it. A big gripe I have, a mistake I see people make, Dave, is they get so focused on taxes, which is a really important, variable. That's all they worry about. They hyper focus on optimism. I don't want to pay taxes, and they invest in a crappy deal. It's well, cool. You save 10 cents, and you're gonna lose $1 over here. So taxes are important, but for a lot of landlords who are dude, I want to tap out, do some stuff. Sometimes it makes sense to sell and pay taxes. I have done that myself.
Fair enough. Yeah, because everybody does talk about 1031 exchanges or
swap till you drop.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get a crappy swap, you're going to drop a lot faster. That's for sure. So, okay. Yeah, that's making, so you're recommending people do this on an annual basis with their entire portfolio.
Correct. What I do is I sit down every December, January, kind of New Year's resolutions, that time frame, and I'll just pull up everything and run numbers and look at it. That's a big part of the reason, what our software does. We do with our investors here in Denver. The other thing, this is a really cool mindset shift that one of my mentors taught me, is he goes, anytime you sign a lease, you're buying that property for another, 12 months or whatever the lease term is. And he said, hey, before you sign that lease, double check those numbers. Do you really want to own that property for another 12 months? So once a year, or if you're about to like release, I think it's a good exercise just to make sure like, hey, am I still doing the right thing with the property?
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate you sharing those three things to be looking at when you're analyzing your portfolio. Keep it and kind of optimize it. I gave the example of hand off the property management to somebody else, that sort of thing, or see if you're under market rent. If you're under 10% under, well, hey, you can bring it up to market rent, then hire a property manager. You're still where you're at right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. So really kind of optimizing what you got. Option number two is refinance it and grab some cash out, use that to invest in something else, get that money working for you. One thing I kind of picked up on you saying there, it sounds like you're recommending people be a little bit conservative if they do the refinance, not over leverage that golden goose, right? Because we've seen a lot of people get into trouble doing that over the years as well. They're just leveraged to the hilt, and then property prices can go down.
Yeah.
So that could be a challenge. Maybe talk to me a little bit about that for a second.
Yeah, so two thoughts on there is I personally think 65%, 65% LTV is a very good sweet spot. That's where I try to keep my portfolio. I think it uses leverage, which enhances returns. It also enhances losses, right? But I think it's a good buffer. If you look at most drawdowns, like 25, 30% is like the max drawdown. So you
Yeah.
should have buffer on there. So I think it's just conservative LTV. The other big thing right now, especially like for places like Denver, is our debt service is so expensive. For cap rates, I use cap rates on residential properties for simplicity, right? Like, hey, a lot of these properties are going to be it's going to be like a 5% cap rate property. It's a low cap rate, right? It's not a high cash flow. But then you put a 7% cash out refi debt on there, you're at a negative 2% spread. And so you can't do like a 75%. So you have to stay conservative to I think overall portfolio health, but also
Yeah.
just simple, I'm not a fan of making a debt or a asset negative cash flow to pay something else. Have it be able to stand on its own 2 feet, just as I think a healthy risk mitigation as well.
Yeah, smart. That makes a lot of sense. So you're talking a little bit about your software. Tell me about what you've got and who it serves.
Yeah, so it's a tool that was built originally for me, as I talked about what I went through as an investor, my mentors, and I would turn this a complex spreadsheet. Then I started sharing some of my brokerage clients, and I just started getting traction. So one of my real estate clients helped buy a couple of properties, ended up also having a software consulting company. So he
Nice.
put together a prototype, we ran off, and we built a piece of software called PropertyLlama.com. And it's designed for landlords. It's not, hey, should I buy this property? It's, hey, let me do this keep, refi, or sell analysis on my property. It's more for like that. Hey, I got a portfolio. I want to see how things are doing. So it's designed for that. So you can go on there, free account, PropertyLlama.com.
Nice, nice. Well, so you've come up with a solution where for crunching all these numbers, you've created the software to do that for us.
Yeah, because it all just came out like my own stuff. It was a spreadsheet built for myself. Then I started sharing with clients. Then I would be doing 10 spreadsheet sessions a week with the clients.
Yeah.
And then I'd have an update that I got 100 spreadsheets. Want to make an update, and it turned into this just huge mess. And of course, people would break the spreadsheets. And I was like, how come no one has any tools built like this? These are multimillionaires, and no one teaches landlords how hey, we bought, we held, but how do we optimize, right?
Yeah.
So it just came my own
Smart.
need, and it blended with my financial planning mentality, and I love it because it said, hey, you have a very high probability of becoming wealthy over a 20-year period in real estate.
Oh, very, very good advice. So as we're wrapping up here, Chris, you mentioned you're working with clients. What else do you do in real estate? Maybe give us a snapshot of what you're involved
Yeah, so I shift a lot of my investing more towards cash flow. And so I'm a big fan of the market cycle right now. I think private lending, lending out to fix and flippers, whether, directly or through a fund. I think it's a really great investment for investors out there on cash flow. So I've done a lot of that myself. And then we launched a income fund earlier this year, our third one at Property Llama. And so we have a income fund if people want to be on the bank side and just have like double-digit cash flow.
Very nice. Very, very good. Okay, cool, Chris. So who are you looking to connect with these days?
It is landlords. It is people who are, our demographic shows usually 40s to mid 60s, right? They have properties, they want to optimize it, and then they figure out what to do. Like, we have a really cool software. We have really cool like education community around there that gets people like ideas and, often connected to the right right professionals they need to. Sometimes with us, a lot of times, hey, just they go back to their local agents and do some deals or talk to a lender or, cost segregation expert. So just landlords want to optimize their portfolio for cash flow.
Awesome. And one more time, if they want to find out more, where should they go?
PropertyLlama.com.
Awesome. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. I love those 3 tips. And hats off for creating a piece of software that does all this nitpicky stuff for us, helps us actually implement that.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Dave.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviewyou.com.